Hello, this is Henry Nacino. I am a customer engineer on the Google Cloud Platform team. Today I'm going to talk about how to connect a Kubernetes application running in Google Cloud to an on-premises environment. So basically clients or servers running on-premises who want to connect to a Kubernetes application that's running in Google Cloud Platform. So we're going to do this connectivity through a Cloud VPN. And just as a quick review of what a VPN does. So if I have my on-premises computing environment and I have Google Cloud computing environment on the right, in order for me to connect a computer with a private IP address in RFC 1918 private IP address on premises to a server or a VM instance running in Cloud VPC that also has a private IP address RFC 1918, I have to put in a VPN gateway in place so those private IP addresses can talk to each other over a IPsec VPN tunnel. So this scenario again is kind of this on-premise to cloud connectivity where I want to go through a VPN gateway and not the public internet to connect an on-premise client to a server or an application running in Google Cloud. So if I want to kind of simulate this environment, what I did here is I have two projects running in Google Cloud Platform. One is kind of simulating my on-premise environment, so it's called hn-on-premises. And I have my Google Cloud project, other Google Cloud project called hn-host project, and that's basically my cloud project in this example. So in my on-premises environment, I have a subnet of 10.138-0-2-0/20, and then in my cloud environment, I have a VPC called VPC East, which is 10.142.0.0/20, and I have a Kubernetes cluster running inside that subnet. So what I want to do is connect these servers with these private IP addresses in this CIDR range to a Kubernetes application that is going to be inside of this subnet into the cloud environment. And like I said on the previous slide, the only way to do the private IP connectivity, well, there's other ways, but today I'm going to talk about VPN, is to do this through a VPN gateway. So you'd have your peer gateway running on your on-premises environment, and then you'd run you'd set up the cloud VPN gateway, which is a managed service in cloud, in Google Cloud. So now let's kind of quickly go through the steps on how to do that. And it's fairly quick to do. So basically you're going to create a Kubernetes cluster, and I've already done that. Then I'm going to deploy basically an Nginx across my cluster, and then I'm just going to expose that cluster as a service, and specifically I'm going to expose it as that service through an internal load balancer. So the internal load balancer will also have an RFC 1918 IP address, a private IP address that's running inside of my cloud VPC. So we'll have an internal IP address that's in this range, and I'll be able to connect to it from an IP address running on my on-premises range. All right, so let's do a quick look at this. So this is my on-premises project, and real quick, what we can see here is actually just to bring up a couple of things. One, and I'm not going to go through kind of the configuration of VPN, but what we have is I have an instance running in US West B. So kind of like I showed here. So this is in my West subnet. So I have an instance running in US West B, and I have an internal IP address inside of that CIDR range. And I want to make sure, I'm just going to test that I have connectivity going out to a computer that's in my other project, hn-host-project, which has an internal IP address that's in a different range. So to do that, let me just go to this particular VM, VM West, and I SSH into VM West, and I just want to go ahead and ping that other server that's in my other project in a different range. So this should go through because I have my VPN gateway. So we're actually going from west to east, and we're approximately getting about 69 milliseconds to get the response back with a ping. So we have connectivity, and again, that's all set up through the VPN gateway. And just to show you that real quickly, if I go to networking, here we can see my VPN gateways. And I had actually two tunnels, one set up that's going from west to one specific zone in the east, and one going from west to another different zone in the east. That was in my second project. And we see the green status light, so those are all set up correctly. And I just tested connectivity by doing a ping. So now the next step is I'm going to actually go ahead and deploy that my Kubernetes application and then expose it as a service. So I need to switch over to my other project, which is the HN host project, and that's where I'm going to deploy my Kubernetes application. So let me go change directory to, and let me just bring those up real quick. All right, so here we can actually see the deployment file, and it's really simple. It's just a deployment called MyNginX. I have two replicas and or two pods, and it's going to be port 80. So, and again, the name of my containers is going to be MyNginX, and the image is basically an Nginx image. So let's go ahead and just get out of here, and let me go ahead and run that. So it's going to create that deployment. All right, so now if we do kubectl get pods, we have two pods because we had two replicas, and if we do kubectl get deployments, we see my deployment called MyNginX, and I've asked for two pods, and I have two pods. So everything's available, everything's ready to go. So the next thing I need to do is expose this so that other clients outside of this particular Kubernetes cluster can go ahead and connect to it, connect to this, and connect to Nginx basically running on this cluster. So to expose a pod or pods in Kubernetes, you create something called a service. And there's various different options of services. You can create services that expose things on a load balancer. You can expose things with a specified IP address. What I'm going to do is use the internal load balancer. So I'm using the internal load balancer because I want to expose an internal IP address that's in my east VPC to basically my other project, which is in the west VPC. So let me go ahead and just show you what this looks like. So here we see the file that creates the service. So I'm creating a service called mynginx-svc, and I'm specifically saying that this is an internal load balancer, so not to be exposed externally. And I am basically calling the type is a load balancer, but it is specifically meant to be an internal one. And I'm selecting my pods, which are called MyNginX, to be part of this service. So let's go ahead and run that. Okay, so now if we do kubectl get services, you see that we have this external IP address is pending. And if I give this roughly about a minute, I will go ahead and get an IP address, and that IP address is going to be an IP address that is in the VPC East range of which was 10.142.0 that .0/20. So we'll try and maybe give it a little more time. All right, so now we have our IP address 10.142.0.3. And again, if we look back at the slides, that is in this range, in this IP range, which is part of my VPC East. So therefore, I have another internal IP address inside of this subnet. And now I want to connect an application or a client to connect through the VPC, through the IPsec VPN tunnel to that Nginx application running on this cluster. And if we went back, we did see that this was my IP address. And now if I just go back into my on-premise side of things, which is this project over here, and I can go ahead and now do a curl on that internal IP address. So again, I'm going to go from one project to another project across the VPN tunnel, from my VPC subnet west to my VPC subnet east. And we should see the Nginx homepage. So we went all the way through the tunnel using internal IP addresses. All right, so again, in summary, I just created a Kubernetes cluster. I did that beforehand, so we didn't have to sit through the, 2 to 5 minutes of watching that get created. I just deployed a Kubernetes pods through the deployment object and created an internal load balancer service, which gave me a IP address, which was in my east subnet range, which allowed it to be connected to through the VPN tunnel. All right, thank you for your time and hope this was helpful. Goodbye.